There is a growing movement to make a racial issue out of the decision over at MSNBC not to renew the contract of host Tiffany Cross. According to a wide range of critics, it wasn't her history of incendiary commentary, her over-the-top rhetoric that got her show, The Cross Connection, taken off the air. It wasn't because her show still had to live under the NBC News brand, which claims to present news. No, it's because Tiffany Cross is a woman of color. That had to be the reason. And of course, that conveniently absolves Cross of any responsibility for the actual words that she said. Now, her rhetoric catered to the fringes of the far left. Notably, on multiple occasions, she claimed the United States is currently in the midst of a civil war.
And these days, it feels like we are not just at the brink of a civil war, but that one has already begun. At this point, I do think we have to have serious conversations around preparing for actual violence. People keep saying a civil war is coming. I would say a civil war is here. And I don't mean to be hyperbolic.
A show from a mainstream news organization saying that the United States is currently engaged in a civil war and that it's not hyperbolic. The last civil war in the country led to more than 600,000 deaths. And that's not the only time she's deployed sort of violent rhetoric. Listen to this exchange.
White people turn violent when they don't politically get their way all the damn time in this country. It's what they do. And so from the perspective of a black person, I'm kind of like, welcome to the world that I've been living in, America, because now what we have is white domestic terrorists threatening to turn violence against non-black people, against everybody else, if the white supremacist ideology doesn't win the day and their white supremacist king is held accountable for crime.
And I want to point out, Ellie,
normal.
You're right, and you're not opining. I mean, that statement is rooted in history and fact. If you are even a modest student of history, you have seen this scenario play out several times.
And right before her dismissal, Cross, appearing as a guest on Comedy Central, went on a vulgar rant about Florida and Governor Ron DeSantis.
Florida literally looks like the of the country, so let's get rid of Florida. Ron,
are you saying castrate Florida is the country?
Seriously, let's castrate Florida. Here's the problem. Ron DeSantis, whatever you want to call Florida man, he is so problematic.
Is it really that far-fetched to think a news organization, which despite its left-leaning bias, at least tries to maintain a veneer of professionalism, might not want to be associated with comments like those? And apparently she was also warned, supposedly. And yet in a column published this week titled MSNBC's Cancellation of Tiffany Cross Sends a Chilling Signal, Washington Post columnist Karen Attiah wrote, quote, "It was a stunning announcement, and particularly for black journalists, a reminder that the rug could be pulled out from under us at any time. It's all a bad look, sending the message that we can be abruptly deplatformed for stirring up the right-wing media pot. 2 years after the supposed global reckoning on race, we're still disposable. If this can happen to Cross, all black journalists are on shaky ground." A group of 40 prominent black thought leaders sent a letter to MSNBC critical of Cross's firing. They denounced what they labeled a racist and misogynistic attack against Cross by Fox News host Tucker Carlson, and argued the network had an obligation to keep her on the air. As a result, they said, quote, "This decision was announced just 2 weeks after a targeted racist and misogynistic strike against both Ms. Cross's reporting and character from a known racist and anti-Semite. Fox News host Tucker Carlson, his intentional misrepresentation of her platform amounted to no less than a direct attack and should have engendered immediate defense and support of Mrs. Cross by her parent network." Now, look, it is true that some of Tucker's attacks on Tiffany Cross were over the top and inappropriate. Fair criticism. But if cable news hosts are entitled to stay on the air as long as they're the subject of unfair attacks from rivals, well, then every host has a job for life. Cross herself has now cited race for her dismissal. In a statement the day after she was let go, the former MSNBC host said, quote, "Fresh off the heels of a racial reckoning, as so many have called it, we see that with progress there is always backlash." But Cross and all of her defenders are overlooking some very inconvenient facts. For starters, the president of MSNBC, the person who made this decision, is a black woman, Rashida Jones. The buck stops with her at MSNBC. And in just the past 2 years, NBC News has promoted 20 non-white people to host shows on its various platforms, compared with far fewer white people. Make no mistake, MSNBC is an activist liberal network. And then there's the enormous issue of ratings. Many of her supporters have referred to her ratings as strong, or even as one major outlet claimed, the highest rated weekend show on MSNBC. Except here's the reality. Most MSNBC shows finished in a solid second place behind Fox News. Cross's show finished third behind both Fox and CNN in the total ratings category and in the advertiser-coveted 25 to 54 demographic. And her ratings were less than half of what her predecessor, Joy Reid, drew in the same time slot. Look, it's not always a sinister agenda. And it's certainly not always race-related. Sometimes a show or a host just doesn't work. Sometimes it just isn't a fit. I had a show that was canceled on MSNBC in 2008. Why? I could say it was unfair. There were people out to get me. Reality is my show just didn't work on MSNBC at that time. It was too politically moderate for an increasingly liberal network. Now, it's not just Tiffany Cross. I'd support Fox News firing certain far-right extremist hosts who've crossed the line. These networks should feel an immense responsibility as to who they put on the airwaves. And there is going to be a place for Tiffany Cross at a more fringe venue. But with MSNBC bending over backwards to add liberal, racially diverse hosts, trying to play the race card against them feels ridiculous. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.